Welcome to the EC Utopia Education Channel. Today we're going to learn about the purchase order acknowledgement process. The PO acknowledgement is used to communicate with your buyer on the initial status of your order. Typically you create that when the order is scheduled with a ship date or if there's an issue with the information on the order. You can do acknowledgements of POs from the new documents or the document management tab. You also have the ability to save those acknowledgements so you can come back and complete your work later if you get tied up with something. You can acknowledge a single document or multiple documents at the same time. A couple of key features that are available: the ability to make changes to the entire order. You can change a ship date. You can change items at the line level for things like quantity, cost, or you can even back order particular lines. You can split lines if you have to make multiple shipments of those items. And we're going to jump into now how to acknowledge the purchase order from the New Documents tab. One of the easiest ways to acknowledge purchase orders is from the New Documents tab. All we have to do is highlight the orders that we want to acknowledge, hit the Act Selected button, and an acknowledgement is sent off to our buyers. If we want to acknowledge multiple orders and we want to make changes to those, or we want to see what's happening with those orders, from the New Documents tab we can select the orders and click on one of the orders. And what this will do is this will take us into the purchase order screen. From the purchase order screen, remember, we can manage multiple documents. And in this particular case, we're going to create an acknowledgement. So we're going to acknowledge the first order. What it'll do is after we complete the acknowledgement, it'll bring us back to the PO screen so that way we can acknowledge our next order. So we're going to click on Create ACK, and it's going to take us into the PO acknowledgement screen. And from PO acknowledgement screen, you're going to see three fields with red stars. The red stars indicate that these are required fields. So the ACK number, an ACK date, and a required ship date are required fields. The only one that doesn't come in with a default is the ACK number, and the ACK number is one of those that has to be a unique number or a unique alphanumeric. One of the helpful hints that goes along with it is many vendors actually use their sales order number to complete the ACK number. The ACK date actually defaults into today's date, and the required ship date is from the original purchase order. So we're going to go ahead and key in an ACK number if we want to use today's date, or if we had actually acknowledged this on an earlier date, we can go ahead and select from the calendar. We're going to leave that one alone. If we want to update all of the dates that go along with a particular order, we can go in and we actually want to make it so that they're going to deliver a couple of days later than we thought they were going to, or ship a couple days later. We can hit Update All Lines, but then one of the cool features about it is by doing that as the default, we can then go in and update individual lines with their ship dates. As we walk back through, we see that the original order had 3 lines on it. There were 48 pieces total, and cancel date is December 5th on this one, so we're going to make that cancel date not a problem. We want to plug in some terms that go along with the order, so we'll give 2% on 7 days and net 30. If we want to add any charges or allowances, we can go into the charges and allowance, the arrows, select we're going to do a charge here, and these are fields that our buyer has set up for us to be able to take. They're going to allow us to do a charge for freight, and we can pick an amount or a percentage. We'll do a percentage on this particular one, so they've offered us a percent. If we want to do a full percent, we just put in the full percent. If we want to do a partial percent, we would plug in the decimal point and those amounts that go along with it. We click Add. That puts that on the order. Click OK, and now we have a charge that is assigned to the entire order, and it shows there. We can also add notes to the entire order. So if we say that we updated the ship date and click Add Note. What that does is adds notes to it, and we can see that in this particular case, I've added the notes, the date that I added them, and the time that's associated with the ad. So we can take actions at the line level as well. So we can take an item off of an order. We can change the quantities. We can change dates for individual items. So if we want to take this one and say, hey, you know what, we really can't make the 28th date on that particular one, we have the ability to do that. We can also split a line, or we can back order it. So if we have an item that we know is on back order, we can click the back order field, and that gets communicated back to our buyer. We can split a line, and when we split a line, what it does is actually shows the actual quantity, the amount of that has been split already. So if we want to split this one into two different delivery dates, we can say we're going to do 12, and that 12 is going to ship on, we're actually going to ship earlier on that one. So we can split the line there. Now what we want to do is we want to go back and we want to say we've got another 14 that takes us to the quantity of 26, and we're going to deliver those on the 30th. We split. We see that we've got split quantities and actual quantities at 26. We say done, and now we've updated the order, and we see two line ones with a split quantity of 12 and 12 and our two different delivery dates that go along with it. We get to the point where we have two choices now. We can either save the acknowledgement if we want to come back to it, or we can send it off to our retailer. So we're going to go ahead and send our acknowledgement. We hit send, and comes back with a warning notice to let us know you will not be able to make changes once committed. We say we're good. We hit OK, and now our acknowledgement has been sent off to our buyer. It takes us back out to the purchase order screen, and we can go ahead and we can manage our next order that we have out there. From the Document Management tab, we can also acknowledge our purchase order in exactly the same way that we did it over in New Documents. We can select the documents, or we can go in by the individual document number. Takes us back to the purchase order screen, and we go through the create acknowledgement process again. After we've acknowledged our orders, we can always come back and we can check on the status. Remember, we had multiple documents out there, or multiple acknowledgments. If we had a saved document, we could actually go back and we could continue work on that saved document by clicking on yes and clicking on the saved order. Takes us back in, so we could take action on that particular order if we wanted to. We can cancel back out of there. If we wanted to go back and see what other acknowledgments are out there, we can click on no here at the editing the saved document. And what that does is takes us back into the acknowledgement screen, and now we can see that we actually have multiple acknowledgments that go along with this particular order. We're going to cancel back out of here and go back to document management. The key takeaways from today's session are that the PO acknowledgement gives us a great way to communicate with our buyer on the initial status of our order, gives us the ability to acknowledge POs from the New Documents and the Document Management tabs. We can save an acknowledgement to come back and work on it at a later point in time. We can acknowledge a single document or multiple documents, and we can make changes at the line level to make sure that it gives the most accurate information going back. We can split lines, and we can also perform back orders. That wraps up this EC Utopia education video. We encourage you to use the help button in the application and to view all of our informational videos. If you have any questions, any suggestions or feedback, please let us know by sending us an email to support@ecutopia.com. Thank you, and have a great day.